World War II was one of the most devastating and transformative events in human history. It shaped nations, toppled empires, and changed the course of civilization. To understand the world we live in today, we must look back at how this conflict began, how it unfolded, and how it finally came to an end. The story truly begins after World War I. Europe had been torn apart, and no country felt the consequences more deeply than Germany. The Treaty of Versailles forced Germany to accept blame for the previous war and pay enormous reparations. The economy collapsed. Unemployment soared. Hunger and chaos spread. Many Germans felt humiliated, betrayed, and desperate for a leader who could restore hope. Out of this desperation rose a man named Adolf Hitler, who promised strength, pride, and renewal. His message was simple but dangerous. Germany must rise again, no matter the cost. Meanwhile, tensions were building in other parts of the world. In Italy, Benito Mussolini had created a fascist dictatorship, pushing dreams of a new Roman Empire. In Asia, Japan sought to expand its power, capturing territory in China and the Pacific. These nations, the future Axis powers, shared similar goals: domination, expansion, and complete control. In 1939, the world finally reached its breaking point. On September 1st, Nazi Germany invaded Poland with overwhelming force. Tanks rolled across the borders, planes struck from the sky, and civilians fled in terror. This invasion shocked Europe, and just 2 days later, Britain and France declared war on Germany. World War II had officially begun. The early years of the war were disastrous for the Allied nations. Germany used a new style of warfare known as blitzkrieg, lightning war. It relied on speed, surprise, and brutal efficiency. Denmark and Norway fell, Belgium and the Netherlands fell. And in June 1940, France, one of Europe's strongest powers, collapsed in just 6 weeks. The world watched in disbelief as Nazi Germany controlled almost the entire continent. But one nation refused to surrender: the United Kingdom. Under the leadership of Winston Churchill, Britain stood alone against the Nazi war machine. Germany launched massive air attacks in 1940, hoping to crush British resistance from the sky. This became known as the Battle of Britain. Cities were bombed nightly, families lived in shelters, and thousands lost their homes. But the British held strong. Their resistance became the first major defeat for Hitler's forces, proving that the Axis powers were not unstoppable. While Europe burned, war was spreading across Asia. Japan sought control over the Pacific and Southeast Asia, aiming to build its own empire. On December 7, 1941, Japan launched a surprise attack on the United States at Pearl Harbor. The attack sank battleships, destroyed aircraft, and killed thousands of American servicemen. The next day, the United States declared war on Japan. Soon after, Germany and Italy declared war on the United States as well. A conflict that began in Europe now became a global struggle. With America's entry into the war, the balance of power slowly began to shift, but victory was still far away. One of the worst chapters of the war unfolded on the Eastern Front, where Germany invaded the Soviet Union in 1941. The fighting there was brutal beyond imagination. Millions of soldiers and civilians died from gunfire, starvation, exposure, and mass executions. The Battle of Stalingrad, fought through 1942 and 1943, became a turning point. Street by street, building by building, Soviet forces pushed the Germans back. Stalingrad ended with a crushing German defeat and marked the beginning of the Nazi Empire's decline. In North Africa, Allied and Axis forces clashed for control of key territories. The famous General Erwin Rommel led Germany's troops, while the Allies fought hard to push them out. By 1943, the Allies gained the upper hand, leading to the liberation of North Africa and the invasion of Italy. The Italian campaign was long and difficult, but it ultimately forced Mussolini's regime to collapse. Meanwhile, the United States and its allies fought fiercely across the Pacific. Battles on islands like Midway, Guadalcanal, and Tarawa were intense and deadly. Each victory pushed Japan closer to its home islands, but the cost in lives was enormous. The Pacific War was marked by brutal close combat, long naval battles, and extraordinary acts of courage from soldiers on both sides. Back in Europe, The Allies prepared for one of the most important operations of the entire war, the invasion of Nazi-controlled France. On June 6, 1944, known as D-Day, thousands of ships, aircraft, and soldiers crossed the English Channel and landed on the beaches of Normandy. Under heavy fire, soldiers fought their way inland. The invasion succeeded and opened a crucial Western front. From that moment on, Germany was being pushed back from both the East and the West. By early 1945, the Nazi regime was collapsing. Hitler's government fell apart, cities were in ruins, and on May 8th, Germany finally surrendered. But the war in the Pacific continued until August, when the United States dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Faced with overwhelming devastation, Japan surrendered as well, and World War II came to an end. The war reshaped the world in ways that are still felt today. It redrew borders, created new alliances, and set the stage for the modern era. It also left behind painful lessons about the dangers of hatred, unchecked power, and global conflict. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.